So for me, beating C9 is probably the biggest rush of adrenaline for me because I've been on that team for so many years and they've taken care of me for so many years, and eventually we had to part ways. But, you know, it is what it is. But right now, I think that I have a really bad track record versus C9, and I think that if I would beat them right now, it would mean the world to me, you know? Like, I must beat C9 this time. I have to.
Well, he's got to start now then.
He definitely has his work cut out for them as TSM are down 0-2 in this best of 5. Thank you all for joining us here as we gear up for Game 3 of this semifinal to decide who's going to be the first to secure their spot in St. Louis.
It's going to be a really tense one here for TSM. Already so much pressure on this org, on this roster after the worst year that they've ever had. Last year, they bounced back. They have an incredible end to the split, and they certainly do not want to see that end here today.
Yeah, they definitely finished spring strong. Playoffs here, still alive for them though. Banning out the Kindred, Taric, and Kennen this time around themselves even.
And that first game for Cloud9, they've managed to buy themselves a free ban in the following games just by breaking out the Taric Sona every single time now. TSM has to respect that. They lose a ban that they would pay towards something else, and that's just an advantage Cloud9 have bought themselves in the draft. They will continue to target solo lanes, banning out Sylas, Lissandra, and Irelia, but TSM will first pick the Jayce yet again.
And something that Crumbs was talking about on the desk is how important he feels it is to give Akaadian a preferential jungle matchup, to get him the Rek'Sai, to get him something where he can really get going. And it is the first pick, Jayce. We'll see if Cloud9 want to take that away or if Akaadian will be able to get his hands on it for the first time this series.
Yeah, Jayce definitely is a powerful solo laner, so TSM already locking in, you know, no matter who it goes to, some sort of pushing power early on to help Akaadian out. Maybe they go for jungle invades, try and set him up for success.
Well, Cloud9 are not too concerned about the Rek'Sai being locked in for TSM. They'll grab the Jarvan for themselves. We know that this could go into the top lane, but could also go into the jungle. Cloud9 thinking about that Akali, also Tahm Kench. We know the TK can make those saves, and especially up against the Jayce, that global power, that split push shutdown.
Exactly, just such a strong answer. Zeyzal played incredibly well on it last game, and because you know, TSM likely want to play side lanes, this is a great answer for later. We do have double flex pick here for TSM. This is what they ran in game number 1, the exact 3 picks. It was Jayce mid in that game, but they do have the ability to swap this up.
And I think that they should probably stick with Broken Blade on the Akali. This has been a great champion for Broken Blade, showcasing some of his individual skill on it.
Cloud9 are going to go ahead and grab themselves the Gangplank here yet again. They'll take that one up there against that Jayce or that Akali. It's not going to be the tank versus carry style matchup from game number 1. Instead, Licorice is putting on those carry pants here yet again.
It'll be very interesting to see if TSM wants to now, flex that Jayce up to the top at all because of that GP. I do think that Jayce is such a strong early matchup into GP and can have maybe even more early power compared to that of the Akali, where GP still does have the ability to actually trade back during Shrouds.
And a lot of it has to rely on, yes, the Jayce can get an advantage versus GP and try and mine some turret plates, but the really breaking point comes from jungle dives. If you go up there, support whatever top laner you're trying to pressure that GP with, go for a kill early, dive him under the turret, that's where you can actually break open the early game against someone like that.
And I think that would be huge. And you also have the added kind of wrinkle here of the ability to then swap who is actually matching up against the GP. If GP is against Akali and tries to get early MR for a Hextreaker, then all of a sudden Jayce is up there up against you, and it forces you into the kind of these more neutral builds where you have to look like something for Asterix instead of building armor or instead of building MR when you don't know what the lane assignments could be later on.
Mid-game lane assignments can be very, very potent here with this type of setup. So far though, already past second ban phase, looking at a possible revive for Cloud9 with the Zilean hover.
About Zilean with TK already locked in leads me to believe we're going to be seeing a mid lane Zilean unless we see some wacky shenanigans with different bottom lane picks.
And they're stacking up some frustrating champions to deal with. Looking for kills
I know it.
with both of those champions can be super hard, and sometimes you can overcommit. It's very easy to punish overcommitments when you have Abyssal Voyages and Gangplank global ultimates coming through to support over diving as well.
I'm also so interested to see what Cloud9 is saving their last pick here for. We're assuming it's Sneaky. Is this hinting towards the fact that it's going to be a non-standard bot laner? You know, sometimes you are looking to see, okay, if they have X, we're going to pick Cassio here. We're going to do something different. And if that opportunity does arise, is Sneaky willing to play the mage, as he has shown a couple of Cassio games already this split?
And Zeyzal has used a bottom lane Zilean support before too, so it could be something along the lines of an extra stun going bottom lane and a double mage bottom lane, something of the like there. They could throw a curveball and have Nisqy play something else.
Well, Zven is going to be on the Ezreal here this game for TSM. You're going to see Smoothie on the Alistar, so very hard to get on top of this AD carry with Alistar peeling for him. Also, Ezreal's natural inbuilt mobility. As the pick for Cloud9 will be the Jinx. What is scarier than a 1v9 hyper carry? A 1v9 hyper carry with TK and Zilean.
And I actually love this. When they're going to lock in something like Ezreal that needs time to actually build up, does not have a super punishing lane, you can kind of just outgreed them, right? You can just say, all right, you're scaling up with the tier, I'm scaling up with an Infinity Edge.
And the important thing to remember, you've only got tier for one eye now, Ezreal. You cannot double stack the tiers anymore. That was removed. So the Ezreal hyper scaling with both the Seraphs and the Muramana will no longer be available. The Jinx will definitely pop off harder in late game fights.
Yeah, I think a lot of the action, especially early in the game, is going to be centered around these solo lanes. TSM going back to the same picks that they started out this series with for those solo lanes and for their jungler. This time around, it's about, can you execute on the top half of the map early on?
And it is going to be that Jayce going up to top side, you know, not mid lane for Bjergsen this time around, will find that GP matchup definitely preferential. We saw how Broken Blade could pop off in the 1v1 in game number 1. You want to see him have that success, be working well with Akaadian, and see Akaadian have a bounce back game here for TSM to regain some momentum.
And TSM, the time is now. Their backs are against the wall. It is match point for Cloud9. The reverse sweep is the only way you walk away with a win here and find that ticket to St. Louis. Otherwise, it'll be Cloud9 boarding the plane and making their stride, trying to find that fight for that playoff title that they've been wanting to get for so long. We heard from Sneaky earlier about it, but you can see so many TSM fans in the audience here today too. They would love to see us play some more games of League of Legends.
The pressure is incredible in here. Broken Blade doing very well for TSM. Akaadian in his first playoffs. Smoothie versus his old home, Cloud9. And they have to start now. They have to win this game to continue the series.
So interesting to see Zeyzal going for the Glacial Augment in this game against so much burst damage. You know, I was kind of expecting to see a Guardian, but I do think Glacial Augment can be very powerful against champions such as Gragas and Alistar, who have to kind of hard commit on the dive and then have such an impossible time getting out against the TK.
And going up against such a difficult assassination target in a Jinx that has all his support, Bjergsen's work will be cut out for him. But he's on quite a carry champion on this Akali for his 100th LCS playoff game, the first player in LCS history to achieve this milestone. And how cool would it be for him and TSM for a win here to be what keeps them in that game, in that series?
This guy has been synonymous with success in the LCS. Many MVPs, so many titles. He has been here, he has done it all. To be the first player to reach 100 games in the playoffs is indicative of that success.
He's got an entire handful of championship rings so far with how often he has won the North American LCS, and managing to come back in this series would give him an opportunity to go for number 6, but they've got to get through Cloud9 first. As the minions collide, we'll see them trading back and forth here in the mid lane. Both junglers are going to start on the same side of the map this time, so we may not see the vertical jungling we have previously.
Yeah, all right, we're gonna have a quick transition for Akaadian down to the Krugs as well with Gragas. You can get level 3 off of just red Krugs and the bottom scuttle. There has been a defensive ward put by the C9 bottom lane to see that entrance into the river. So once Akaadian does move over this way, then they will have an early alert. Svenskeren is going blue Gromp scuttle though, and is gonna beat him to the punch. We'll see if they actually walk over the wards and walk into this, because it could once again be Svenskeren and C9 jumping to an early jungle lead. Not gonna be the case as Akaadian does double back, goes through to the Raptors.
And this is opening up the opportunity for Sven to get a potential double scuttle here, as he does have that pushing mid lane. You can see Nisqy moving up towards that top side, and I think he's just going to go straight for it. He's going to get the level 3 actually from the Zilean passive before going to that scuttle. Really nice planning and adaptation there from Nisqy and Svenskeren, and Akaadian had to spend all that extra time to get free with his 3 camps.
I also like just casually walking by mid lanes, you know, as minions are dying, you get a little bit of boost in the early game. It really does help ever since the adjustment to experience in jungle camps. Here we go, though, going immediately for the invade.
And that's why this is so important. Whether or not you're just going to tax the guy for a couple of minions for EXP in mid lane, or whether or not you've got the Zilean to give it over to you, if you're going to contest your opponent on the top side for either the crab or his second buff, the difference between 2 and 3 is massive. You saw Svenskeren scare Akaadian off of that blue buff. He doesn't want to get in the 1v1 right now, especially with Licorice having this priority, this control over top.
And getting those early scuttles is always going to feel so good for the GP because you are given a bit of pre-warning. He knows that Akaadian is there now. Will be able to back off thanks to that scuttle, thanks to the ward in the river as well.
I will point out, too, the difference in keystones for Svenskeren being the one piloting Jarvan this time around. Going for the electrocute could signal that he wants to go for the warrior Jarvan, earlier burst damage. And you can go for the 100% for kills early on, a little bit more presence than the later Conqueror plus Sunfire Cinderhulk style Jarvan. And it certainly has been the success for Svenskeren in his early game so far this series. He's going to find Akaadian now at the Gromp.
And he is level 4, Akaadian level 3.
Good interrupt.
Yep, Akaadian making sure that he body slams Svenskeren. So although the damage comes through from the EQ combo, the knockup will not. It doesn't give him the extra opportunity to throw the auto attack there on the edge. Gragas' body slam does have priority over pretty much every other movement ability in the game. If you cast yours the same time they cast theirs, you're going to come out on top.
Yeah, despite the fact that Svenskeren didn't get to take away the blue or the romp or anything like that, he spent all this time tracking Akaadian, and that is allowing Licorice the ability to actually push. And he's actually playing this matchup so aggressively, he's just autoing the minions to get the grass proc ready, and then looking for the trade with the Q to proc that grasp. And he is the one pulling this matchup where he's supposed to be on the back foot, scared all the time about a potential Gragas gank. He's having free reign.
And that's one reason why this is a guy who we have talked about, who everybody in the scene has talked about over the course of this split as being such a damn good top laner, especially for how new he is to the LCS, not being one of these guys we've seen for years and years and years. Licorice has popped off.
And the confidence in him has been amazing to see evolve over the years. He's also grown into a leader for the team. Definitely deserving of a lot of the praise. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side, Nisqy and Zeyzal trying to push in the wave here. Rockets going off, able to block that lethal tempo as well. They should be able to finish off these recalls.
Remember, Nisqy's goal is to just stay farmed, make sure you're relevant come the mid-game. You've got 2 members of your team in both Nisqy and Zeyzal whose entire job is protect that Jinx. You are the VIP, they are your secret service. These guys are going to make sure you are safe. So as long as you're farmed up enough to have the damage to make that investment worthwhile, you'll be fine.
And not only is it the revive and the safety brought from that Tahm Kench, I just think that the speed up from Zilean is so enormous, allowing Jinx to dodge in and out of these fights, get additional hits off with the rockets, and that in combination with the Jinx passive, get excited when you do get a kill, can make it so threatening for these squishy members on the side of TSM, because we're not expecting any true tank whatsoever to come out from them. We're expecting an AP Gragas. We're expecting all these squishy members.
Yeah, once again, it's TSM looking for a more split map. They have a lot of individual possible plays they can create. Ezreal's very safe at peeling for himself, where the solo laners can create things. But C9 do have a lot of possibility of bringing their champions together. It's always what you want to look for with a Zilean team, grouping up a bit more.
Yeah, as fun as it is to run around in circles really fast and ult yourself so you don't die, Zilean would much rather help his teammates facilitate their own combinations in the team fights as Bjergsen continues to farm up here in the mid lane, finding himself some nice little trades against Nisqy, going into the smoke to get more energy back. Nisqy not going to be taken low enough to be forced to use his ultimate, but Bjergsen definitely maintains control here in this mid lane as Akaadian finds Svenskeren in the jungle, throws down a couple of wards, trying to keep track of him. Remember, it's been Svenskeren who has popped off in both these past couple of games in this series. He's been the one really pressing Cloud9 forward and being this leader, getting himself into the fights, finding the opportunities to make the plays, and if Akaadian can keep him a bit more under control, that might be a big factor in TSM coming back.
Svenskeren does land a smite there, does get the level 6 for his Jarvan, but mid lane,
Akaadian looking for Nisqy here. An early ult comes out from the Zilean. He'll walk away, but because he doesn't actually die, he won't receive any sort of healing.
remember too, about the Akali E, if Bjergsen is able to get Nisqy to pop his ultimate early, and then you get one of those E's on him as he's trying to run away, you can go in later, wait for the duration to fall off. Not going to be the case that time around as they used it early on in the trade. But definitely something to watch out for. Timing is so important with Zilean.
It really is.
It's target selection and timing, or else the champion is almost useless.
And I think that it was an intelligent early ult from Nisqy because there's a Predator Gragas walking in the side. If you get hit by a body slam flash, you're going to die before the ultimate comes out. So giving the respect to TSM that could be happening is a worthwhile trade. But he is going to be without that ultimate for a little while, as Zilean does have a reasonable cooldown on it in the early game. But as we all know, once you get to that late game, it can start coming out multiple times per fight sometimes.
Yeah, the late game Zilean ultimate on about a 30-second cooldown. As you can see, Broken Blade putting the damage onto Licorice here in the top side. That Jayce winning the lane as you would expect him to now. Has the serrated Dirk, so as those shock blasts land, it's going to be piercing plenty of armor, none of which has been built yet on Licorice. Sometimes you see players build a little bit of early armor against a Jayce to sort of nullify the lethality. That will not be the case here. Svenskeren and Zeyzal heading into Svenskeren's topside jungle. He knows that Akaadian's been looking at this part of the map, so he wants to bring backup in case he's getting invaded.
Well, there isn't the early armor here. We kind of talked about the ability to actually swap around lane assignments for TSM. So I think going a more middle of the road, kind of tanky build through health makes a lot of sense. And grabbing Doran's Blade, the early Ruby Crystal, is going to give him kind of more tankiness in that lane. Because if you itemize too heavily towards armor, all of a sudden Bjergsen could show up to your lane and say, "Where's your magic resist, bro?"
Yeah.
Also, something we're seeing right now as the bottom lane's got their support recalls off. Zeyzal did go over to the top side of the map, possibly threatening some map movement up there with the Abyssal Voyage on the top side if TSM did go aggressive. Not going to be the case, though. They continue defensive play, wards on their own side of the map primarily.
And I like seeing these farming ults coming out from Licorice's Gangplank. Sometimes you see players be afraid to do this, especially when you compare pro play to like a solo queue type of environment. They always want to save the ulti to make some kind of a play, try to snipe a kill, but Licorice recognizes the importance of utilizing it to maintain wave control, not lose too much presence in there as he is going to fall behind further and further in that lane. Instead, just wants to make sure that he stays rather equalized, as Svenskeren has found his way onto the Mountain Drake and will look to take that one down.
Yeah, this should be C9's because there's been a recall from Akaadian, and Broken Blade on the top side doesn't have teleport back yet ready. So C9, control wards go down, vision turns off for TSM, and they should be able to secure this Mountain Drake.
No tormented soil to come through the wall. Svenskeren will secure that one for his team, and Cloud9 makes sure they grab themselves that first neutral objective. Mountain Drake means plenty of objective control as the game goes forward. It means the possibility of earlier Barons. It means greater ease in taking down turrets. And it also means, considering there's still 3.5 minutes till plates fall, the chance to get more of that money too.
I think the ease of taking down turrets is pretty impactful with this actual team comp that they have, right? You have a Jinx who has such long range with the rockets. You have more access to those turrets already. Tahm Kench can be standing behind you in case of any impending engage, and that can be fairly impactful, but it's going to be TSM trying to play to their strong side of the map. Ghostblade completed already for Jayce. He should be running that lane with that early item completion. They're going to use that to try to take this Rift Herald.
And there's still plenty of time to use the Rift Herald to get some money off of turret plates. You can even almost finish off that top turret on that side. Broken Blade has been whittling away at those plates himself. Only 3 left.
And that's where I'd love to see them use it. I mean, not only can it be a big advantage for Broken Blade himself, but that can unlock him from that top lane to start invading the top side of the jungle, with Akaadian, pressuring Svenskeren, taking over that quadrant of the map and threatening roams to mid lane as well. So we'll see. You can see Svenskeren is up there trying to be ready for any sort of potential play and defend this turret with him. We'll see if they're going to be able to hang on to it.
Looks like Akaadian coming too.
Broken Blade hanging out in this brush. Trying to get himself away now. Svenskeren shows up. Broken Blade's just trying to buy enough time for his jungler to get there. Svenskeren makes his way forward. EQ combo is down. Predator popped by Akaadian, who's able to find some damage onto Svenskeren. There goes the cask as well. Svenskeren trying to now drop the Cataclysm to turn things around, but it's first blood over to TSM.
What a patient play there from TSM. They get a huge amount of momentum on top side, get the kill in the 2v2, activate the Rift Herald. That tower is going down.
Exactly what the doctor ordered here for TSM. You shut down the enemy playmaker, make sure he doesn't get off that fantastic start he has the past couple of times. You get your split pusher ahead, you get Akaadian in the game, you have Shelly marching down the top side. This is what they needed, and why not throw Bjergsen nearly killing Nisqy in the mid lane into it as well?
And it's just when they need it. Backs are against the wall here. This is a must-win game for TSM, and you have to commend especially Broken Blade and Akaadian for their growth over the split. Early on in the split, they failed those 2v2 plays, but now they're coming out on top. They're much more patient. They got the summoner spell advantage and the kill.
First blood as well going to the Jayce, and here this is one more time. C9 was aware of where he was. You can tell that from the barrel chain, but Broken Blade goes in, he buys time with the Ghost Blade, jumping away, getting back to Akaadian, who then comes in, and they're able to actually find the right target, and it's a great ult to split up the two members.
Yep, gonna knock back Svenskeren. He then doesn't have any option except for ulting in and trying to flash away, but Broken Blade finds the follow on the Jayce. They get the turret afterwards, and they have to keep up the tempo here. With top side in their advantage, they're sending Broken Blade back to top to push the minion wave one more time, then try and turn up the pressure and go for the invade.
And TSM is winning in farm in both the solo lanes. The jungle is pretty even. The bottom lane is even, but you've got Klepto versus not Klepto. And when you combine that with the fact that they've got plates, that they managed to get first turret, this team is 2,000 gold up. This is a very nice early lead for TSM.
Certainly is, and we'll see if they can continue to push that forward. You want to be snowballing that. You don't want the game to be stalling out against Jinx, Zilean, GP. That is a terrifying composition later into the game, and now C9 looking to make a play, but there's more TSM members here.
Smoothie rotating up first, making sure TSM maintains control over the river, and that means Akaadian gets to secure the Scuttle Crab, as Licorice is still on his back foot here on the top side, defending the tier 2.
Yeah, you definitely have to be careful about over-chasing when there's a Zilean on the enemy team, so not going into any fog of war plays there. Bottom side has consistently been pushing also for Cloud9, and with the threat of the Abyssal Voyage from Zeyzal coming up, these numbers can change quickly.
This is what I talked about earlier. That turret falls down, all of a sudden they are in your jungle, they are in your face. Jayce is here, GP. It's very hard for him to follow into darkness against this guy that can 1v1 him if he's off the turret.
That's not your jungle anymore. That's Jayce's jungle. You just get to stay there if he happens to let you do it. As Broken Blade is going to find his way onto Licorice. More damage coming in. The Gangplank forced to flash out to keep himself safe. Bomb strapped to Bjergsen. Red buff going to be taken low. Accelerated Shock Blast will nearly kill Licorice. And that means TSM walk away with the red.
I think C9 should have just given up that red buff, to be honest with you. You know, Licorice putting himself in danger costs him the flash, and they lose the buff anyway.
That pressure should be transferred down to bottom side very quickly for TSM. This is an Infernal Drake. C9 know it. They're setting up their vision, and they're trying to take out these wards so that TSM can't use that top side victory in the red jungle to quickly take another objective. It is a recall for Broken Blade, level 11, another lethality item added here with Serrated Dirk on top of the Ghost Blade, and he is making a teleport towards the Infernal.
It is teleport advantage for the side of TSM. Broken Blade coming down now. Nice damage onto Sneaky. True shot barrage. Sneaky's out of the fight. You have to abdicate this Drake.
Yep, you land a couple skill shots on the enemy carry, and that's a dragon.
Yeah, Sneaky having flashbacks to last time they played TSM with that poke comp. The lethality Varus, you know, obviously a different situation, but oh my god, that early lethality coming through from the Jayce, so devastating.
And normally we say a couple to talk about, oh yeah, some things hit him, but that was literally 2 shots that took Sneaky from 100% down to 25. The Shock Blast doing half the work. True Shot Barrage just adding a little insult to injury.
And even though the focus right now completely on TSM in their must-win game, C9 still focusing on farming up late. Their Zilean, Jinx, Gangplank 5-on-5 possibilities later are their hope in ending out this series. They don't want to let TSM extend it. They want to move on right now.
And you've also got to remember how much wave clear Cloud9 has in their kit, right? These are 3 really strong wave clear champions also. So it's going to be up to TSM to be able to find the opportunities to dive or force around neutral objectives. Because you cannot just walk up to a turret without a Baron buff and expect to take it against Zilean, Jinx, GP.
But what you can do is walk up into the enemy jungle when you have a Jayce that is this far ahead, when you are Akaadian, and take total control over this area. Svenskeren not having the same kind of a game this time around that he did in the first 2. I mentioned it when we saw the first Bud play in the top side, but Akaadian coming out on top in that situation, making it so Svenskeren doesn't snowball himself early on, pays big dividends for this team. And now Broken Blade is making it happen yet again, but the cast will not be at the proper angle, and Licorice walks away.
Licorice able to get the heal off there later while he's in the air, does not go down, does defend himself. TSM don't lose anything by continuing to dive the tower though.
And this build is working out a lot better for Akaadian in this game. In game number 1, you saw him also go for this very aggressive Sorcerer Shoes, Oblivion Orb, Runic Echoes, Gragas build, but because the team was entirely so far behind, he just got blown up when he went into the fight. Because the game is much closer this time around, TSM still enjoying that 2,000 gold lead, this Gragas is actually very threatening. When he comes into the fight, you will take a lot of damage, regardless of who else is there.
Especially when you combine it with the immense amount of poke that can come out of this lethality Jayce, right? You know, you saw Sneaky get hit to half health from one Shock Blast. That is easily within kill range from one combo of the Gragas.
Cloud9 moving up now, recognizing their chance to maybe clear out some vision, but Sven's going to return some poke. Nice zap over the wall there from Sneaky to try to equalize a little bit of that. Svenskeren works his way towards this bottom lane here as well, but Akaadian is also pathing down. Sneaky trying to trade back and forth. Autos with Zven. Akaadian coming around the side. He's popping the Predator. He knows something is up. Svenskeren wants to get himself away with the Blast Cone. He doesn't target himself into the pit. Bjergsen's making his way over now as well. Svenskeren has Flash. Recognizes that he doesn't have to use it. Zeyzal's there to keep him alive.
Makes it into the waiting arms of Zeyzal. Does get hit with the two-shot barrage on the way out, though. So that damage bar is going to give TSM extra pressure on the turret because there's not a lot of life for them to defend with.
Yeah, and Sneaky going to be alone on the bot side. They're now taking this pressure down to the bottom side of the map. They're taking away this jungle. You can see Sneaky having to be quite safe in how he actually approaches this turret. Just now walking up to try to collect some of the CS.
And Akaadian grabs the blue buff as well. They deny that from Cloud9. They keep it away from Nisqy. Svenskeren didn't have a smite to even try to fight for it.
Remember, while C9 do have very good denial tools in the Zilean ultimate, in the Tahm Kench, they do not have sustain for healing back up afterwards. So you may be able to escape with your life, but if everyone is chunked down too low, then you still might lose an objective anyway.
Definitely possible, and this next Infernal I feel like is going to be such a critical part of the game. Giving over double Infernal to TSM, who is so many members building AD, building AP, that is an enormous advantage. Oh my god!
Man, you want to talk about some advantages. Sven finds a kill onto Sneaky for free. We'll get a replay of that one here in a moment. But Cloud9 giving away kills like that. TSM recognizing the opportunity to take them. They're up 3,000 gold now, looking for even more from this bottom lane tier 1.
Yep, Sven's guys Mermana completed here, transformed. Iceborne Gauntlet is in full effect. Akaadian comes through to help them get the turret afterwards with Demolish going down. That is going to be it.
Tier 1 turret falls in the bottom lane. TSM continue to maintain control over this game. They've got that 3K gold lead, and they've got 30 seconds to get ready for the Drake.
And thankfully for C9, Sneaky will still be back up for this, but here it is one more time. Zven straight in, hits the Cutlass. He just gets one combo pretty much.
Yep, hit every single skill shot there, is going to be able to find the kill. Back to the scene of the Dragon, though. 13 seconds on the arrival.
I don't know if C9 can even challenge, to be honest with you. They have no vision in that area, really, besides the scuttle. It's going to be pretty dangerous checking forward into it. They really do not want to give up a double Infernal, though. If TSM can win this handily, they could potentially even go to the Baron.
Here comes TSM. Broken Blade with a nice shock blast over the wall. Going to find the health bars of both Nisqy and Sneaky. The Zilean nearly killed. True Shot Barrage will find him, but critically, it does not pop the ult. Nisqy goes home with 5% HP, and TSM will take the Drake.
That's going to be it. You do enough damage. Even if you don't get a kill, you get the objective. And TSM land poke damage, forcing the Zilean ult, forcing him back to base, finding that extra percentage increase to their damage output. That is 2 Infernals stacked on top.
And they're going to be so happy about the spawns of those dragons when they have this early advantage to be able to get those Infernals to try to combat the power that C9 will certainly have later is going to be huge.
And it's like you already said, this isn't a team that's 2 guys that like an Infernal and then 3 meatballs. Everybody's dealing out damage on this squad except Alistar, but that is still so much pain coming out of the side of TSM. And if you're a TSM fan, you like the way this game is looking. The first couple of games looked a little rough, but the squad is doing an excellent job bouncing back here in this third one. Broken Blade and Akaadian specifically. Akaadian with that Morello Nomicon completed means even any heals that might come out from the side of Cloud9, mostly just the Gangplank orange as well as any lifesteal that might be built, will not be nearly as effective.
Sneaky is the next target. Broken Blade waiting around. Not going to overextend, though. You can see the vision control really doing a lot. And Zeyzal coming up the river here means there's too much defense. So some good restraint shown by Broken Blade there. Gets the damage poke off, but does not forfeit his life.
Now we got to see how TSM can play around the Baron. We saw Cloud9 how effectively they were able to play that style of game. in the last game with this sort of an advantage. It's now TSM who have the stronger positioning, who have the double Infernal, and you want to see them wrest that Dragon control away, wrest that Baron control away.
And something that TSM haven't been able to do before, which they are set up to do now, is get side lane pressure. Broken Blade gets attacked, 2v1.
All right, Zeyzal's coming in. This is what we were talking about with Tahm Kench being able to punish the split pushers. EQ combo not going to find the mark, but Sneaky's able to grab himself the kill with the super mega death rocket.
C9 get their pick. Abyssal Voyage, so big. Always mentioned in these split maps. Zeyzal finds it, and that is C9 getting some gold back for themselves.
And not just getting gold back for themselves, but they get on the board and they get it on the Jinx. Sneaky is already at 2 items with the Infinity Edge and Runaan's Hurricane. Jinx, one of those traditional crit marksmen that you want to see hit 3 big items and then she's online. That's sort of a timer that TSM has to be very cognizant of.
Yeah, and off of that kill, he has enough gold for another Zeal, so that is very, very close to that kind of dangerous point in the game. And it's C9 who do have control around this Baron, trying to clear out some wards, maintain that for themselves. And they're another member on the map right now.
This is so critical every single damn
Svenskeren has
time.
ult.
It's Nisqy being taken down super low, but never actually killed. The ultimate never gets to proc the heal, and TSM is doing so well at making sure this Zilean is just completely suppressed.
Again, the damage done. You get an extra amount of pressure, and TSM needs to keep that pressure up for the rest of this game. All lanes are trying to push ahead. Threatening a dive here. Akaadian's charging up.
Smoothie over the wall might be able to make something happen here as well. Svenskeren looking to come back around from the other side. Akaadian going to be taking a lot of damage, taken very low, having to get himself away. Sidestepping away from the rocket, goes into the stasis. The bombs come down, the damage goes out, and there goes Akaadian, but mid lane turret will also fall.
That is jungler down for TSM, but Broken Blade pushing heavily on the top side of the map, trying to chip away at this turret. They're now TPing in behind him. They're going to try to corral him and potentially go for a Baron after.
If they can catch Broken Blade here, that'll be a pretty big pick, but Zeyzal's gonna be interrupted. He tries to go in with the Abyssal Voyage. Instead, he's gonna be taken down. Brought back to life by the power of the Zilean ultimate, but can he get away for a second time? Thick Skin says no, Bjergsen says no, and TSM grabs a kill.
Not only did TSM save Broken Blade with that stop, but they also find themselves another kill in the mid lane.
Sven trying to get himself away. Already had to pop the flash, getting away from Cloud9 here initially.
Coming in.
Smoothie trying to stop something. TP going in. True Shot Barrage cutting through Cloud9 health bars. Broken Blade into the back line. Going to be taken down by Sneaky. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
It's a bloodbath in the mid lane. Bjergsen gets a double, though.
They could actually transition over
They're
towards
going.
the Baron right now. There's a ward on it. This is going to be risky. Smoothie is fairly low, but they're starting it up. It looks like they're going to commit.
I mean, there's no flash on Sneaky or Licorice.
Licorice has no ultimate either. Gangplank cannot just fire the barrage in the pit to make this one cancel out. Zeyzal, Sneaky, Licorice moving forward, trying to stop this Baron at about 1/3 HP. Sneaky with a zap over the wall. Akaadian has no stasis. Sneaky fires off the super mega death rocket. Akaadian having to back himself away. Cloud9 will successfully ward them off the Baron.
You can tell the pressure in this must-win game is at an all-time high. Baron down to 3,000 HP there, almost considering committing to it. Such a dangerous situation. They do back off. Let's take another look at how it started, though.
Yeah, so Zeyzal had to walk so far up to actually get the range to ult over to top lane. He did not realize TSM was still in the area. So Zven, Bjergsen, Smoothie, they pull the trigger here and look to engage on it.
Bjergsen commits, finds the extra kill. On the backside, we know how that one turned out. Look at the determination on his face. Bjergsen incredibly focused. On the backside, though, the Infernal Drake went to C9.
And that is so important. The difference between a 3-0 Infernal comparison compared to a 2-1 comparison is massive, especially since the first ones are weighted so much more heavily now. Cloud9 closed a pretty big gap there.
And you've got to check in on this gold lead. It has not been expanding really here for TSM since that first turret did get knocked down on the top side of the map, and that was a good 10 minutes ago. This is now Jinx, GP, Zilean closing in on those 2-3 items for a lot of these guys, and their team fight is becoming monstrously strong.
The mantra they've been chanting, farm for late, farm for late, is starting to come true here. Sneaky in the mid lane, trying to get a little bit more on this Jinx.
Zap's coming out, but when you compare what a Zap looks like to what Broken Blade's able to do with some lethality, it's not too scary just yet. Svenskeren looking to go in, able to find the dump on multiple people. Broken Blade's already down, and Cloud9 find the attack. Smoothie barely getting himself away, but it's 2 dead on the side of TSM, and C9 heads to the Baron.
The huge engage for Svenskeren, he just bottles him up, and Sneaky and Nisqy knock him down.
Huge turning point here. Can they actually force TSM to face check?
Nisqy throwing out some bombs. Right as I said that Sneaky's poke didn't look quite like TSM's, that doesn't matter. They don't need the poke. They've got the hard engage. And with the teleport coming in, Cloud9 goes for Baron.
Yeah, Sneaky TP's back. They are starting this up, and it's going to be TSM resetting. They will not contest this Baron. And now Cloud9 at match point with the Baron buff in their back pocket is going to be so big. It's up now to TSM to make a play. To Bjergsen, this 3-0 Akali to make something happen.
We've been praising TSM for such a well-played early game so far, but now 28 minutes in, we're back to an even point in terms of gold, and we're to a point where Cloud9 now has the advantage in terms of momentum. Baron buff up on 5 members. They've set everything back to a neutral state, and they did it through this.
Look at this clutch team fight by C9, choosing their moment. Sneaky, getting them on the run, grouping them up. The Licorice ultimate slowing them for Zven to get the perfect cataclysm and find the rest of the kills. Nisqy then has an easy time layering those bombs in, and now it is a Baroned up C9 looking to come take their toll.
Yeah, the AoE there is just so powerful. You have GP ult layered with the AoE ultimate from Svenskeren, rockets hitting everyone, double bombs hitting all those members. 2 turrets already knocked down. Remember how powerful the C9 siege is, because Jinx is on 3 items, has an incredible amount of range, and 2 people to protect her.
What you just saw on screen is why we caution against that late game from this squad. C9 now melting through the turrets.
And Sneaky knows, even though he's at half HP, he's still not in imminent danger. He's got the Zilean and the Tahm Kench right next to him at all times. He can stick around long enough to take down the turret and disengage.
And remember, he did go 3rd item Bloodthirster instead of another Zeal item, so he can deal better with that poke. If he gets access to 1 wave, 1 camp, that is Jinx healing right back to full off of that.
And I really like that tech choice, considering what you're up against, considering the weaknesses you pointed out earlier where you don't have a Sona or a Taric or something like that to keep you topped off. This could be the difference between a push lasting forever or having to go home after 1 wave.
The big shield also helps out a lot with burst damage from Jayce and Akali looking to finish you. So many of these fights we've seen TSM poking down a C9 member and forcing them back to earn an objective. Look at that gold graph. The time has come. C9 are taking theirs.
They certainly are, but for TSM, you know, they're up against it. This is a must-win game for them. Bjergsen, you have to look at this guy. He's 3-0 on the Akali. He is at a strong point in the game. Certainly someone who can take over a team fight and make a big play, and that's what they're going to be looking for as he's TPing in very far behind.
Bjergsen coming in to try to make some sort of a flank happen, but Cloud9 has the opportunity to still do something before he makes his way into the fight. Smoothie's going to be the target, taken very low. Ultimate keeps him alive for now. A lot of damage on Cloud9, and here comes your janitor, baby! Mop and bucket at the ready. It's Bjergsen on cleanup duty. Svenskaren's going to be taken low. Sneaky's going to be taken down. Zeyzal drops next. Svenskeren with the flash away, but Bjergsen is spinning that combo all the way around. TSM will find their fight.
When they need him most, the former MVP comes through, teleports in, and TSM pick up 4 for 0.
Game 100 in the LCS playoffs for Bjergsen, not willing to have it end in a loss. Monstrous fight there, but the coordination was not on point for C9. As you watch, the Devour and the Zilean ultimate will be used on Sneaky at the exact same time. And this poke and that overlap of cooldowns set up for Bjergsen's team fight.
And before he even gets there, the damage output from TSM setting up these low health kills. This is what Akali loves to see when you arrive late, right? A couple of low health targets goes in for the execute. So much work was done by Akaadian, Zven, Smoothie, buying time and getting those C9 members low.
All business here for Bjergsen. That's got ice in his veins, man.
And I just want to applaud Smoothie there too, making sure he's just baiting everybody into the fight. He draws Cloud9 and saying, all right, guys, you want to hit the Alistar? And then sure enough, the cavalry arrives and they run him down.
Yeah, credit must be given to those who laid the groundwork for that fight. Getting C9 members low. Now, though, that is just some life for TSM. They're still facing a very daunting task here. Jinx getting sped up by the Zilean, throwing crit rockets at your face.
And this next kind of wave of neutral objectives coming up is going to be so critical. It's not only the Baron you have to deal with, it is now the Elder Dragon, which is going to be massive for either side. And it becomes more and more complex. TSM trying to play the side lanes, trying to pull them apart and find these difficult to execute on fights, and also now with the option of potentially trading objectives instead of committing to a 5v5.
The first 2 games were swift victories here for Cloud9, but Game 3 is promising to be the kind of show that everyone was expecting from this series coming into the semifinal today. So many matchups historically between these 2 teams throughout playoffs at different stages, many times before they've met in the finals, semifinals as well. Cloud9 want to make this one another victory for themselves. They would love to close this chapter as a 3-0, but TSM will not allow that to happen so easily.
All right, Sneaky going offensive again, gets caught.
Sneaky's on the front line, immediately going to be ulted by the Zilean. Zeyzal now has to save him when he resurrects, or else there's going to be some trouble. Sneaky's going to be gobbled up, Devourer keeping him alive. Nisqy getting himself away. Sneaky's going to be taken low. Bjergsen still looking to find the damage. He is dominating. Sneaky's in a fight, and Cloud9 is destroyed.
TSM find another team fight. 4 more kills for themselves, and Nisqy's on the run.
There is a damn good reason this man has played 100 playoff games. Bjergsen is putting the team on his back. He is finding the damage, and he is trying his hardest to get TSM this win.
It's because he keeps on winning them and getting deep in these playoff runs, and TSM now looking to potentially crack an inhibitor tower. We'll see how far they can go. Nisqy does have very good wave clear and may want to defend this, but this is, again, feels like C9 maybe getting a bit overconfident there. Sneaky charging in on an Alistar, and Zeyzal was not close enough to actually devour him out.
And the Baron is now on the map. TSM transitioning over. They should be able to burn this one down. The death chambers are still in effect for C9. No one around to contest.
You started that sentence with the Baron is now on the map, and practically before you're even able to end it, the Baron is off the map. That one is secured by TSM and Akaadian. These guys back in the driver's seat once again, and let's take another look. Sneaky so far forward.
Yeah, Zeyzal needs to be right beside him if you're going to try to play that aggressively onto an Alistar. They do drop the Zilean ultimate immediately, but now you're on so much of the back foot. They're all chunked down, and in comes Bjergsen.
Yeah, that was a big engage from Smoothie on his former lane partner. And then the execution from Bjergsen. 4 deep in C9 members. Finds the kill, survives, and TSM win the fight.
A little bit of a cracked smile there from Akaadian. He knows they're able to find these wins, and TSM now 5,000 gold up again. The pendulum swings back and forth between these 2 squads, and TSM will now look for a way to use this Baron, push this lead, punish Cloud9 for Sneaky's over-aggression.
Fans wanted a 5-game series here, and C9 showing a lot of early domination. There's still life in TSM. And they're coming for the secondary turret first. Should be able to clean this one up. Licorice trying to clear those waves, though.
Licorice takes the accelerated shock blast from Broken Blade. Zven needs one more auto attack to take down this tier 2 in the bottom side. Bjergsen will continue applying split pressure here in the mid lane, but Cloud9 lose the tier 2.
Also worth noting, all of this vision on this side of the jungle here for TSM. They're trying to set up for a potential Elder. Their Baron will still have a minute left on it when the Elder does spawn. That means that C9 is going to be corralled into their base. That C9 will have a difficult time approaching that potential Elder Dragon.
Zven taken down to half HP. Svenskeren is on the side here, looking for maybe the opportunity to find some sort of an engage. Sneaky got hit by the accelerated shock blast yet again, but as you mentioned earlier, Ezreal, the Bloodthirster shield does a good job at preventing that from really chunking him down too hard. TSM will maintain control. They'll continue pushing up here. Mystic shots flying into the minion lines as Zven takes a little bit of damage, but he can just walk right out of the bomb. And with 25 seconds until the Elder spawns, TSM wants to maintain control and then be able to retreat back to that objective. Remember, Elder can be burned down so fast.
16 seconds left on its arrival, and we will have a reset for TSM preemptively. Pushing up the waves, able to gain their vision control, not letting C9 get too much back there. There is one deep ward that they've pinged out behind TSM currently. That is the lone ward providing vision here for C9 around this critical objective.
Yeah, my big question is for C9, do you even leave your base to try to contest this? Because if you die, Baron buff is still active. TSM could potentially just end the game. You know, do you have the confidence that, hey, we can just keep picking up these items, keep getting stronger, wait till later? Because I think it's such a dangerous approach for this Cloud9 team. If Bjergsen has completed the death cap, here comes Svenskeren. They are moving up. Smoothie is setting up for a potential flank. So is Bjergsen.
Elder Drake already at 4,000 HP. Gangplank ultimate called in from Licorice. This is going to be the fight that could very well determine the game. Smoothie going to be taken down to half HP. Bjergsen going into the back lines, looking to maybe take down Sneaky. Going to be revived now by the ultimate from Nisqy. The dragon is slain by the side of Cloud9, but can they find the fight? Licorice has already been killed off by Bjergsen. Cloud9 still looking to find even more. Zven getting himself away over the wall. It is a 1-for-0 trade. TSM have won the fight, but they lost the objective.
It's the smite again from Svenskeren, time and time again. He is the one coming up on top. And that was massive, because if they lose that, that could have been a team wipe potentially for TSM. That could have been TSM closing this game.
Playoffs are all about clutch plays over big objectives, and he comes up huge in this Elder Dragon smite fight. Both junglers in the pit. Akaadian's gonna run out so he doesn't get bursted down, then Blast going back in. Meanwhile, on the top of your screen, TSM do get the kill onto Sneaky, causing the revive from Zilean to come out. That means they can finish up the second one there. Bjergsen kills Licorice, but the critical play on the bottom side was Svenskeren taking another objective.
Yep, and he knows that that's got to be a frustrating one for him, losing that smite fight. TSM had to back off, had to give respect to that power of that Elder Dragon buff, and now it's C9 again. Their time to run the map. So many items have come through. This is almost a full build Sneaky. He just needs that stopwatch into a GA, but C9 can group up, can siege, and look to really posture forward on this map.
Right now, they're actually ahead of Bjergsen here, who's trying to make the escape on Akali. Very mobile champion, should be able to get out with no vision from C9.
Cloud9 walking into pretty dark territory here. Have to be very careful about that. You face check an Alistar, somebody gets thrown up into the air, all of a sudden Bjergsen's dashing and slashing across your whole team. You've got some serious problems. Sneaky though with that stopwatch. Important to note, although it is not fully completed into a Guardian Angel, that item could be the difference between winning and losing a team fight if deployed properly. Sneaky pushing up with the Elder Dragon burn, putting some rockets into the turret. They'll take that one down, no problem. And that is the 5th turret acquired by Cloud9. They'll tie that count up.
And Jinx is such a monster in the late game. The extra range from your rocket form doing so much to allow you to take objectives like that, plus getting the poke out. Zilean constantly going for the speed up, and Sneaky finding that poke.
I think that range differential is partially why Zven has gone for this triple lifesteal build, to be able to just constantly heal it back up. He knows he's going to be taking so many of these trades that are towards Sneaky's side. He has a Bloodthirster, Mercurial, as well as the Gunblade. This guy is going to lifesteal straight back to full if you do not kill him dead.
Now, Elder Drake has expired from the side of Cloud9, so that means TSM does feel a bit better about taking a fight. And if we're talking about taking fights, well, one will surely break out here soon, as Baron will be alive in 3 seconds. Both teams having enough damage on their compositions to shred that one almost immediately. As Sneaky will continue clearing out the wave here in the mid lane. You can see 900 damage crits onto those minions. Broken Blade will eat a single rocket there. Not a crit, fortunately for him, in the side of TSM.
Yeah, Sneaky actually did end up selling his stopwatch for the Hex Shrinker here. Wants to be able to survive against Akaadian and Bjergsen, and there's also the Locket, there's the Knight's Vow, there's so many items coming through to support him.
And the next biggest objective is the vision just leading up to Baron. Right now, Cloud9 already have the power over this river, and that gives them power over the game. They're dictating TSM around the map. They have to use all of these tools they have to constantly check the Baron, constantly poke into the fog of war here. And you can't afford to make a late game mistake. 40 minutes into the game here with game number 3 on the line.
Whoa, look at that lifesteal though.
Sneaky immediately right back up to full, right back
Smoothie's
up to full
looking for a fight
shield.
from the top.
Bjergsen's trying to get himself away.
Here comes Smoothie.
Coming in from behind. Able to find the knock up onto 2, but not onto Sneaky. That's going to be the critical target. That's going to be the guy you got to look out for. Smoothie's going to be taken very low, taken down. Licorice grabbing himself the kill. Zeyzal's not going to be killed himself. Thick skin, not even needed to keep him alive. And Cloud9 is on the Baron, but Broken Blade is pushing up the mid lane.
Bjergsen has no ultimate. It would be so hard for TSM to try to take this fight. We'll see if they commit to it.
Sneaky's actually tanking the Baron because he has the lifesteal. Akaadian over the wall, gonna be eating some crits coming out there from Sneaky. Baron down to about 2k, gonna be taken and secured by Svenskeren. Bjergsen thrown up into the wall. Sneaky able to find some damage from long range. The bomb strapped to Bjergsen's head. Svenskeren having to find himself getting away. Cloud9 losing some health. Still looking to find some damage further on to Zven, getting themselves back now into their own jungle. And they will disengage it with the objective.
And it is the tenacious Cloud9 controlling the vision around Baron, punishing TSM as they come to try and contest the Baron, finding the objective and not losing a single member in the process.
Zven had been getting so much poked down. It looked for a moment like they might have been able to turn it around, and TSM was setting up this potential flank. Smoothie was supposed to come from above right as Bjergsen comes in from the side, but C9 run away from the bulk of the TSM members towards Bjergsen, pushing him out.
The extra coordination afforded here really benefiting Cloud9 as the 5 members are able to defend and TSM unable to get the timing correct on their collapse there.
Yeah, and Licorice doing a great job again zoning them out. Mind you, this is almost a full build GP. They see the teleport coming in from Bjergsen.
The TP coming in. Smoothie's looking to isolate Nisqy, but he's going to be gobbled up by Zeyzal. Kept safe for now. Nisqy's still looking to find the counterattack. Bjergsen into the back line, trying to find somebody. Licorice already going to be eliminated. Bjergsen now looking to find Nisqy, but he's going to be ulted by the Zilean. Nisqy kept alive, still looking to run and gun. Goes into the resurrection. Svenskeren looking to grab the kill on Zven. Bjergsen already going to be grabbing the kill on now to Zeyzal as well. Nisqy taken very low. Bjergsen's going to be taken into the stasis. TSM will collapse and destroy Cloud9.
Are you kidding me? TSM got the clean ace!
They're going to try to end their TPing to bot lane. They just want to push this straight up. Their timers are long enough. I think they've done it.
There's 40 seconds until Licorice and Zeyzal are alive, and that still means nobody else will be there to help them. TSM with that flank have surely found their victory.
TSM never give up on the game, consistently looking for that play. They find it, and they're gonna head straight through bottom to the next game.
Tier 3 turret, down. Inhibitor number 1, down. Nexus turret number 1, down. Nexus turret number 2, down. TSM straight into game number 4.
9-0-6 for Bjergsen. He put the team on his back this game. It felt like such an incredible performance in some of these team fights, but TSM so resilient to hang on and to find ways to win these team fights, approaching from so many different angles and making it so much of these little skirmishes instead of a straight up 5v5.
That game was a brawl. Consistent
Give me 2 more
fighting
like that.
the
Give
entire
me 2
time.
more like that.
Oh yeah.
Zven also did not die for TSM. The TSM carries putting out so much damage. This Ezreal remaining mobile, landing a lot of the poke in a range disadvantage there. It's just such big stuff in such a clutch moment there for TSM to stay alive.
I mean, it was insane. This was essentially a full build for most of the C9 members. They had this ultimate late game 5v5 comp, it felt like, but TSM was able to pull them apart, to section out little parts of the fight. So you have Nisqy over the wall, awkwardly fighting a little 2v2 there, and then you have Licorice on the side getting killed off by people, and they're just getting segmented in so many different ways. TSM played these fights out incredibly.
And especially in that last fight, the collapse, the flank that came out from Smoothie, they immediately have to blow everything on the side of Cloud9 to try to save Nisqy, because all of a sudden you're saying, wait, Sneaky's in the middle of 5 people, panic button, panic button, panic button. And by the time the smoke settles on out, the button don't work. We can't do anything, and it means TSM grabbed the win. The State Farm Analyst Desk are ready to break down how we bounce back in game number 3 for the side of TSM and continue towards game 4.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to game 4.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. It came down to the wire, but TSM bought themselves some life in this series. And before we go all the way back through this game and the many ups and downs it had for both teams, I want to take a look at that final fight. How TSM came out on top and ultimately pushed us to a 4th game in this series.
And so a big thing is that the Akali teleports, and she's going to be flanking in this battle. And while the Gangplank flashes out, an amazing cast out of Akaadian puts him right back into the team. So it's already a 4v5.
I mean, they had the tools all game long, and you saw them constantly fishing for Smoothie flanks, combo with Bjergsen flanks, with Akaadian barrels. And this is finally the fight where all those elements came together, and they could split up the fight into different areas, make it so that you're not fighting straight front to back versus GP Jinx, and blow up one of those hyper carries instantly.
Right, there wasn't enough threats on C9's side with the Zilean being so far behind. It gave all the farm to Jinx, and when your Zilean isn't doing damage, you don't have to pay attention to Zilean. So they marked the Gangplank, got him killed instantly, and then you just see Bjergsen running through the entire team like, I'm coming for that Jinx.
The only person left
The only one he cares about. Like, he ultis through the Jarvan. Even though Jarvan did a really good ulti to try and zone him, it just didn't matter. It's Akali.
I want to give you a fun fact about Jarvan in the playoffs so far. His record is 1-8. Oof. Stop picking Jarvan, guys. Stop it. It doesn't work. This is not the Jarvan region. Go back to Rek'Sai. please.
All right, well, we'll have to see if the teams heed your warning there moving in towards that fourth game. But I want to now backtrack through the game here because for TSM, this was one of those examples of things starting hot for them. It was a slow start, but once the kills started coming in, they built a pretty solid lead.
Yeah, I mean, it was not the easy victory, though, because while they had a great early game, they had double Infernal Drake, it started to break down into these, while they do have a skirmish-heavy comp, this is a little too much around the mid lane, and eventually C9 started answering kills back, and from the 20-minute mark until around the 25-minute mark, they didn't grow their lead at all, and over time, this kind of patented C9 big comeback happened against them, and this is why a lot of people were concerned about this matchup for TSM was they seem to stall out a little bit in the mid game. Their engages aren't super clean. And then a team like C9 can grab that and come back into the game.
You see the beginnings, though, of that scoreline for Bjergsen right there, picking up a double kill. He'll follow that up with a couple incredible fights. But to your point, Mark, right around the 27-minute mark, that's where C9 really turned it back on. They grab a 2-for-0 in the mid lane and put themselves right back in it.
And this is why people love Jarvan. You can combo and make these amazing plays happen. You get 3 people trapped in the Cataclysm, everybody else dog piles on top of it, and it looks amazing. And that's what gave Cloud9 the window back into the game. We're thinking, oh, wait a minute, they're coming online. This is what they can do. How is TSM going to respond? But they kept spreading themselves out, understanding that that is a C9 win condition. And as long as you don't position yourself to get trapped 3 people in the Cataclysm, you're going to be fine.
I mean, TSM already talking strategy, looking ahead towards Game 4. We'll see what they decide to keep from this game and what they decide to change. But when we talk about the Jinx getting, getting a couple of those kills there, getting set up now as a late game carry with both the Tahm Kench for safety and that Zilean for safety, it means that it's going to come down to a player like Bjergsen in his 100th playoff game to make the plays, those aggressive plays, to ultimately pull his team back into it.
And what a game for it to be the 100th one with a scoreline of like 9-0 and 7 or something like that. It's insane. This flank, he's coming from literally 10 years away. He teleported to the Gromp, walked all the way over here, and then they have this amazing fight where they're kiting out C9 and taking the fight slow, which is what TSM needs to do. They can't all in. They just need to slowly throw some poke out, get some damage, and then let Bjergsen clean up the fight.
And I love the fact that he's not on Corki. Like, Bjergsen is by far away their best player in this game. Probably the best player in the series. I think that's pretty clear. And to be in a champion where he can call his own number, he can hard carry, he can flank, he can engage, he can assassinate people. Like, this is what we need out of Bjergsen for the rest of the series. If TSM's going to have any hope, he needs to be on the proactive champion.
Well, I think that they might be trying to put him more on Akali. TSM has come out and said that they think Akali is one of the most broken champions right now. It's a flex for Broken Blade and Bjergsen, and you can see what he can do with it. I'm thinking if I'm C9, maybe it's time to get rid of this champion because with the zone of invisibility, you're essentially tanking for an indefinite amount of time, and that zone is something that does really well against these protect a single carry composition where you're just not capable of dealing damage.
Right. In game 1 and 2, he had very poor lane matchups. The Jayce into the Zoe is not favorable for Jayce, and his second lane matchup was not that great either. But with Akali into Zilean, that's a really easy lane for Akali. She gets the free farm. You might not kill Zilean, fine, but you get the free farm, and that's a great lane already.
And on the same token, C9, I think, up 2-0 felt like we'll take a late game comp and force TSM to beat us. They beat you, so like, don't go so reactive. They had 0 winning lanes. They had Jarvan that's supposed to be aggressive early, but had no setup in any lane. And they said, we'll sack the early game and we'll go late. And they tried to do that, but TSM beat them.
Yeah, TSM with side selection will pop back over to red. So while they win on blue, they're going to go ahead and flip the script here. So I want to talk about that mid lane matchup. Maybe with red side high, what would you want to see TSM do here? Do they just wait for 5th pick, secure Bjergsen the best possible matchup, let the MVP player on your team carry you all the way through to your finals?
Right. They keep doing flex picks between mid and top, but it seems that Broken Blade's doing well on top lane, so you might be able to give him just a blind pick there and then let Bjergsen take a stronger carry mid, or at least a favorable matchup, to see what he can do with it. Because with that most recent game that you won, that was almost all on his shoulders. A bit later in the game, early games, other people, but give him a strong matchup. Let your star carry, try and carry, and see how that goes for you.
Put a spotlight on the mid lane for this Game 4, as TSM have made clear they're not here to roll over. We'll see if they can reverse the series in Game 4.
Nothing more to lose, guys, okay?
Yeah.
Play with
let's fucking do it, guys.
I'm TP, I'm looking. Yeah, you should look. They have no Zilean ult here. They have no Zilean ult here. This is good, look at me.
Yeah. I'm flashing out. Actually, I'm fine.
Jarvan no flash, Jarvan no flash. Nice try.
Not so good.
It's fine.
Nice.
We got Jinx no flash.
Nice.
Good.
Zilean no ult.
Yeah, he said.
Let's go. Jinx.
Look, guys, I flash.
Zilean no ult here.
Jinx has flash. Yeah,
Careful. Nice, good job.
Nice, look.
Nisqy getting himself away. Sneaky's gonna be taken low. Bjergsen's still gonna find the damage. He